Rafael Alvarado, a renowned and exceedingly affluent entrepreneur, owned an expansive chain of luxurious hotels. As a dashing and strikingly handsome bachelor in his mid-30s, Rafael's charm and allure graced the covers of countless high-profile magazines, captivating the hearts of many. His face became the subject of admiration and longing for numerous socialites who went to great lengths to gain his favor, though he appeared to have eyes only for his burgeoning empire. He seldom participated in social events, immersing himself almost entirely in his thriving business ventures. Each year, his fortune swelled, elevating him to an even higher echelon of desirability among society's elite. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Rafael relished his circumstances, residing in lavish, expansive apartments situated on the uppermost floor of a grand penthouse in the bustling heart of the city. An elderly housekeeper tended to his daily needs, ensuring his abode was pristine, preparing exquisite meals, and handling his laundry with care. Upon returning home from his demanding workdays, Rafael would retreat to his favorite chair by an enormous panoramic window, savoring a glass of his preferred drink while the city's twinkling lights danced before him. His evenings were often spent lost in the pages of various books, a deeply personal passion he never disclosed in public interviews. He firmly believed that these literary adventures had profoundly shaped his character, kindling dreams that propelled him to greatness. Born into a modest family with 2 sisters and a younger brother, Rafael's early years were far from privileged. Yet, his fervent love for adventure novels ignited a burning desire to explore the world. At just 14, he embarked on his inaugural journey, hitchhiking with his best friend to a nearby city. They lodged in a humble hotel on the city's outskirts, and it was during this trip that Rafael discovered the enchanting world of hotels, marveling at how they offered weary travelers a haven of rest. This experience sparked his imagination, leading him to envision his own hotel projects, some nestled in colossal trees, others carved into mountains, and a few even situated underground. His aspirations soared to the stars, dreaming up space hotels on Mars. Rafael's dreams were far from fleeting fantasies. He persuaded his mother to buy him a sketchbook, where he meticulously drafted his visionary projects, sharing them only with his closest friends who admired his boundless creativity. His moment of validation came when he presented his ideas at a school conference, earning the admiration of teachers and the principal, who encouraged him to pursue a career in design and architecture. Filled with gratitude, Rafael dedicated himself to preparing for university, determined to turn his dreams into reality despite his family's skepticism. Late nights with textbooks became his routine, and he sacrificed leisure time, refusing to join friends in soccer games to focus on his studies. From his beloved books, Rafael had learned that relentless perseverance and unwavering determination were the keys to success. Indeed, his hard work paid off. Rafael secured admission to the prestigious architecture university, specializing in design. His family's disbelief turned to joy and pride as they witnessed their son's remarkable achievement. They celebrated his triumph, recognizing the extraordinary journey he had undertaken from a dream-filled boy with a sketchbook to a successful and visionary businessman. Rafael immersed himself in his academic pursuits with fervor. It was during this intense period of study that he encountered Asira, a strikingly tall and beautiful girl with flowing blonde hair. To Rafael, she appeared as an ethereal, gray-eyed angel, and he quickly became infatuated with her. Using his scholarship funds, Rafael lavished Asira with flowers, chocolates, and took her to the cinema and theater. She accepted his attentions with a certain air of condescension. Asira hailed from a wealthy family and was enrolled in the university's paid program. Rafael became so enamored that he neglected his studies for a time, wholly captivated by her. However, Asira saw his affection merely as a diversion. When she grew bored of the charade, she stopped responding to his calls and began dating a popular, affluent, and arrogant fellow student who was the object of many girls' desires. Heartbroken and humiliated, Raphael made a solemn vow to himself. He promised to become wealthy and successful, determined to prove Asira wrong. "She'll regret it when she sees how successful I become," he declared to his best friend, who also attended the university on a scholarship. His friend, skeptical but supportive, simply nodded. Despite the odds, Raphael honored his pledge. He graduated with honors and was promptly offered a prestigious position, thanks to a glowing recommendation from one of his favorite professors. The company that hired him was a leading construction firm, recognized for its international collaborations. Over the next 2 years, Raphael traveled extensively for work, gaining invaluable experience, making important contacts, and honing his expertise. When his contract ended, Raphael made the bold decision to leave the company and start his own business. The initial phase was fraught with challenges, and he often felt on the verge of giving up. However, the thought of Asira and the promise he made to himself fueled his perseverance. His relentless dedication eventually bore fruit. Raphael's business began to flourish. He forged new partnerships and embarked on his first major project, a glass hotel on the rooftop of a city center skyscraper. This success was followed by a series of innovative projects: a ship-shaped hotel, an octopus-shaped hotel by the seashore, and a hostel housed inside an airplane. Many of these concepts were born from Raphael's cherished sketchbook, filling him with immense pride. Thus, Raphael ascended to the ranks of a wealthy businessman, attracting the admiration of many young women, though he remained indifferent to their affections. Alvarado's ambition knew no bounds. He was committed to bringing fresh ideas to life and exploring the world. One evening, as Raphael relaxed in his favorite chair with a book, his business partner Victor called. Victor was not only a business associate but also a close friend. They were the same age and often dined together and spent weekends in interesting locales. However, since Victor had started dating Isabella, he dedicated most of his free time to her, which Raphael accepted with philosophical calm. "Hey brother, we have a golden opportunity to elevate our game and make a substantial profit," Victor said, as was his habit, diving straight into the conversation without the usual pleasantries. He believed that formalities were a waste of valuable time. How Raphael's curiosity was piqued. For him, the world of business was an exhilarating game, one in which he eagerly sought every chance to level up. Alessandro Rezzo, a prominent international businessman, is interested in our hotels. He's keen on replicating our concepts in his country. Moreover, he's fascinated by your creative vision and wants to collaborate on a long-term basis to develop several unique projects. Based on his track record, if he's satisfied, he'll likely want to continue working with us indefinitely. This is a significant opportunity, brother, and we can't afford to let it slip through our fingers. Fantastic, Raphael responded. Have you confirmed our interest with him? Victor paused briefly. Well, there's a bit of a snag, he admitted. What kind of snag? I'm sure we can handle it, Raphael reassured him. Victor hesitated before speaking. It's a rather sensitive matter, he said. Alessandro Rasso has a fiancée. Raphael chuckled. Good for him, he said with a smile. And he's extremely possessive, Victor added, his tone serious. Raphael was momentarily taken aback. What do you mean, he asked, intrigued by this unexpected twist. Victor elaborated. According to his assistant, Alessandro has a tradition for ensuring business success. He regularly hosts dinners with his business partners. These gatherings happen almost weekly. Oh, great, Raphael groaned. Where will I find the time? Exactly, Victor agreed. Alessandro prefers that his partners attend these dinners with a girlfriend, fiancée, or ideally, a wife. Raphael laughed. Well, in that case, it's clear. Next week, I'm proposing to Isabella, Victor revealed sincerely. But what about you, the perpetual bachelor? Raphael pondered the situation. Do "Do you have anyone in mind?" Victor asked cautiously. "Not yet, but I'll find someone," Raphael replied confidently. For him, business always took precedence, and if he needed a fiancée, he would find one quickly. "Great. Then I'll inform Alessandro that you'll be attending with your stunning, dark-haired, blue-eyed companion." Raphael was surprised. Why specifically like that, he asked, intrigued. Victor grinned. "It's just a detail I thought might impress Alessandro. You know how particular he can be about appearances. Plus, it gives us an edge in making a memorable first impression." Raphael nodded, understanding the strategic thinking behind Victor's suggestion. "All right then, I'll find the perfect match," he said, determined. The game was on, and Raphael was ready to play it to win. "I think those kinds of girls suit you perfectly," Victor chuckled. "Maybe he's right," Raphael mused, the image of Asira flashing through his mind, causing him to sigh deeply. In any case, arrogant blondes are definitely not my type. The next morning, Raphael wasted no time. The first order of business was to contact his assistant. "I need you to find me a fiancée," he instructed bluntly. There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line. "Pardon me, Signor Alvarado," the bewildered assistant inquired. "Find me a fiancée," Raphael reiterated. "I need this done by the weekend." He paused momentarily, then added with a hint of hesitation, "She should be a stunning girl with long dark hair and blue eyes, preferably someone not wealthy. Ideally, someone just seeking employment who isn't interested in dating a famous and affluent businessman. Additionally, she should be well-mannered, educated, and articulate. That's all." The assistant remained silent for a few moments. "But where will I find such a girl?" she finally asked, her voice laced with uncertainty. "Use all your resources and creativity," Raphael replied, ending the call abruptly. Soon after, a message from Victor pinged on Raphael's phone. "Alessandro Rezo is expecting us for dinner at 7 on Saturday evening at Magnolia Restaurant on Central Avenue. How's the fiancé search going?" Raphael quickly responded, "Excellent. The fiancé is in progress." By Friday morning, the assistant called back with an update. "I believe I found several suitable candidates. Would you like to meet them in person to ensure they fit your requirements, Signor Alvarado?" she asked. "Hey!" Raphael knew it was essential. He needed to make a selection and brief the chosen girl. He informed his assistant that he would be at the office within an hour. "Please have the candidates ready by then." "Understood," the assistant replied. Raphael's mind raced as he prepared for the upcoming meeting. He had to make sure the chosen candidate not only fit the physical description, but also could convincingly play the role of his fiancée. This was not just about impressing Alessandro Rezo, but also about maintaining the integrity of his business and personal reputation. As he arrived at his office, he felt a mixture of anticipation and determination, ready to meet the women who might temporarily fill such an important role in his life. Exactly an hour later, Raphael found himself ascending to his office on the 12th floor, his heart inexplicably racing. Steeling himself, he reminded himself that these were not romantic dates but business interviews, albeit with potential fiancés. The elevator doors opened, and he stepped into the reception area. His assistant informed him that the first candidate, Senorita Torres, was already waiting. Nodding, Raphael walked into his office, where he found a young woman with long dark hair braided into a neat plait. She wore a gray suit with a white blouse peeking out from under the jacket and a long skirt, finished off with sensible black shoes. Her blue eyes met his, and he silently praised his assistant for finding someone who met all his specifications. "Senorita Torres, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Raphael Alvarado," he introduced himself, extending his hand. Senorita Torres stood and shook his hand, her face flushing a deep red, which only added to Raphael's own nervousness. "Let me brief you on the matter at hand, and then ask a few questions, if you don't mind," he said quickly, trying to mask his discomfort. The young woman nodded, and they both took seats. Raphael explained the unusual job she would be expected to perform. As he spoke, he noticed her raise an eyebrow briefly before her expression returned to one of calm and composure. "If you are willing to assist me for a substantial fee, we can proceed to a brief interview," he concluded. She nodded once more, her silence starting to worry him. Nonetheless, he began asking about her current occupation, education, and hobbies. Señorita Torres took her time before responding, and once she started, her words poured out in a torrent. Raphael soon realized with disappointment that she stuttered, which explained her initial hesitation. When she finished, Raphael thanked her politely and assured her he would call if the decision was favorable. As she left, he called in the next candidate. This young woman was stunning, but her icy demeanor was off-putting. The third candidate, although beautiful, was too tall, making Raphael worry about looking awkward beside her. The fourth seemed too plain, and the fifth came across as overly naive and silly. By the end of the day, Raphael hadn't selected any of the candidates, leaving him frustrated at the wasted time. Seeking solace, he decided to have dinner at a nearby restaurant. As he dined, the urgency of his predicament weighed heavily on him. He scanned the room, subconsciously evaluating every woman he saw as a potential candidate. Though there were many attractive women, he hesitated to approach any of them. "I can't afford to make a fool of myself," he thought. "If the press finds out, they'll ridicule me, and word will surely reach Alessandro Razzo. That would be a complete disaster." Disheartened, Raphael realized that this search for a fiancée was proving to be more challenging than he had anticipated. His commitment to his business and his image left him in a precarious position, but he knew he couldn't give up. The stakes were too high, and the clock was ticking. With these gloomy thoughts weighing him down, Raphael finished his cold dinner and went home. The next day, he woke up early, feeling restless. He paced back and forth, consumed with anxiety about where to find a suitable bride. Suddenly, his phone buzzed with a new message notification. It was Victor again. "I hope you've settled the matter with the girl. Razzo is expecting both of us," read the message. Raphael didn't reply, contemplating his options. If worst came to worst, he could always feign illness and skip the dinner altogether. After taking a shower and getting dressed, he decided to head into the city for breakfast. Leaving his car in the parking lot, he walked toward his favorite cafe, where they served delectable French toast and croissants in the mornings. On his way, he noticed a public library, and remembering his lack of new reading material, decided to go inside. Raphael hadn't visited a library in a long time. His assistant usually ordered all his books, but amidst the chaos of finding a fiancée, he had forgotten to send her a new list. This meant he was left without books for the weekend, which felt like a tragedy to Raphael, who dearly loved to read. With no bride in sight, he anticipated spending the evening alone at home. Though he could have easily bought new books from a store, the sight of the library evoked a wave of nostalgia and childhood memories, drawing him toward its heavy doors, behind which thousands of stories awaited. He pulled open the door and inhaled the familiar, comforting scent of books. For a moment, he felt like a child again, standing on the threshold of new and unforgettable adventures. Entering the hall, he climbed the wide white staircase and found himself in a room filled with countless bookshelves. Raphael began to move slowly along the aisles, his eyes scanning the spines, completely absorbed in the moment. Breakfast and his other worries were forgotten. So engrossed was he that he didn't hear a young woman in round glasses calling out to him. Realizing that the new visitor hadn't heard her, she approached him and repeated her question, breaking his reverie. "Excuse me, sir," she said gently, her voice finally penetrating his thoughts. Startled, Raphael turned to face her. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you," he responded, slightly embarrassed. "It's quite all right," she replied with a warm smile. "Can I help you find something?" Raphael hesitated for a moment, then smiled back. "Actually, yes. I was looking for some new books to read. Do you have any recommendations?" The young woman's eyes lit up. "Of course. What kind of books do you enjoy?" she asked, her enthusiasm contagious. Raphael felt a weight lift off his shoulders as he began to describe his preferences. As they talked, he realized he was enjoying this unexpected encounter. The young woman, whose name he learned was Elena, was knowledgeable and passionate about books, and her recommendations were spot on. As they continued their conversation, Raphael couldn't help but notice how at ease he felt. Elena's genuine interest and warmth were a refreshing change from the high-stress world he usually inhabited. Before he knew it, he had a stack of books in his arms and a genuine smile on his face. "Thank you, Elena. You've been incredibly helpful," he said sincerely. "Anytime, Señor Alvarado. I hope you enjoy your reading," she replied with a grin. Leaving the library, Raphael felt lighter than he had in days. With his new books in hand and a newfound sense of optimism, he walked to his favorite cafe, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, including the search for a fiancée. "Are you looking for something specific?" the girl asked, her voice breaking through Raphael's reverie. Startled, Raphael turned to face her. The young woman had long, dark hair, mesmerizing blue eyes, and a sweet smile. Her name tag read Nina Martinez. Raphael couldn't help but take in her appearance. She was elegant and slim, dressed in a short pleated skirt, quirky white knee socks, and heavy army boots. Raphael began, suddenly forgetting the purpose of his visit. "You," Nina prompted with a patient smile, waiting for him to continue. "I was looking for books," he finally managed to say. "Oh, that's wonderful. You've come to the right place. We have many," Nina replied with a sweet laugh. "Do you have any specific preferences?" Raphael struggled to focus on the conversation, his mind preoccupied with the impending dinner. What if I asked this charming librarian to be my date for tonight? I wonder how she would react, he thought, feeling a surge of anxiety. Sweat began to form on his forehead. If only he were like Victor, who could effortlessly charm any woman and take control of any situation. But Raphael was different. Meeting new people always felt challenging, even now as a successful businessman. "I love reading philosophical books," he finally managed to articulate. "Wonderful," Nina said, her smile widening. "Then let me guide you to the section where Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato are eagerly waiting for you." With that, she moved gracefully along the shelves, and Raphael found himself struggling to keep up with her brisk pace. How does she walk so fast in those heavy army boots, he wondered, marveling at her agility. As they reached the philosophy section, Nina stopped and turned to him. "Here we are. This is where you'll find the great minds of philosophy," she said, gesturing to the rows of books. "Thank you," Raphael said, his thoughts racing. He hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Nina, I know this might sound unusual, but I have a rather unique request." Nina raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Go on," she encouraged. Raphael felt his heart pounding in his chest. "I have an important business dinner tonight, and I need a fiancée to accompany me. It's a long story, but would you consider helping me out?" Nina looked at him, her blue eyes searching his face. For a moment, Raphael feared she might laugh or refuse outright. But then she smiled warmly. "Well, that certainly is an unusual request. But you seem genuine, and I can't deny I'm curious about your story. Tell me more." Relief washed over Raphael. He quickly explained the situation with Alessandro Razzo and the necessity of presenting a fiancée. Nina listened intently, nodding occasionally. "All right," she said finally. "I'll do it. But on one condition: you have to promise to tell me the whole story over dinner." Raphael grinned, feeling a wave of gratitude and excitement. "Deal," he said, shaking her hand. As they walked out of the library together, Raphael felt a newfound sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this unexpected twist would turn out to be exactly what he needed. Finally, Nina led Raphael to the shelves filled with hefty volumes on philosophy. "Here you go. Choose whatever you like, and I won't disturb you," she said before returning to her desk. Raphael couldn't help but glance at her slender figure as she walked away. Pretending to browse the books, he desperately tried to figure out how to propose the strange request swirling in his head. After a few moments, he picked the first book he saw and approached her. "Oceana, an excellent choice," Nina remarked with a broad smile. "Are you already registered with us?" Raphael shook his head. "All right then. I'll take a blank form, and I'll need your documents," Nina said. Raphael put down the book and took his driver's license out of his pocket. Before handing it over, he looked intently at her, which caught Nina by surprise. "Do you need something else?" she asked, curious. "A special book that's not on the shelves?" "No, it's not quite that," Raphael admitted, feeling himself blush. "Or rather, it's not that at all." "Then what is it?" Nina asked, slightly furrowing her brow, ready to listen attentively. Raphael took a deep breath. "I need your help, but it's not the usual kind. I'd like to invite you to dinner." Nina raised an eyebrow. "But it's not a date," she clarified. "No," Raphael quickly added. Nina laughed. "Then what is it? Do you want me to read you poetry?" "No, it will be a dinner with my business colleagues," Raphael explained. "Everyone will be there with their girlfriends and fiancés and I." "Oh," I see, Nina guessed, finishing for Raphael. "And you have no one?" "Exactly," he nodded, feeling relieved. Nina thought for a moment. "And when is this dinner?" she asked. "Tonight," Raphael replied, his heart skipping a beat. He was afraid she might be busy. But Nina smiled again. "Strangely enough, I am completely free this evening." Raphael felt a surge of relief and happiness. "Great," he smiled. He inadvertently looked Nina over again. "Just, do you have?" It was terribly awkward for him to say it out loud, but the girl guessed his thoughts once more. "An evening dress?" she asked, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Yes," Raphael said, slightly embarrassed. Nina chuckled softly. "Actually, I do. I have a simple yet elegant black dress that should be perfect for the occasion." Raphael's face lit up. "Thank you so much, Nina. You have no idea how much this means to me." Nina smiled warmly. "It's no trouble at all, Senor Alvarado. I'll meet you here after my shift ends at 5. "Perfect," Raphael agreed. "I'll pick you up then." As Raphael left the library, he couldn't believe his luck. What had started as a desperate search for a fiancée had led him to Nina, whose warmth and understanding had already made a significant impact on him. He felt a renewed sense of optimism, ready to face the evening with confidence. Raphael exhaled and nodded. "I think I can handle that," Nina said. "If you need to buy anything, I'll cover the cost," Raphael quickly offered, handing her his business card. "Just send me the necessary amount in a message, and I'll transfer the money." Nina took the business card and glanced at it. At that moment, Raphael's phone rang, so he didn't notice how her expression darkened briefly. It was Victor calling. Raphael moved toward the bookshelves and answered the call. "Well, brother, you didn't reply to my message. Did you manage to find a bride or not?" Victor asked. "Victor, everything is fine," Raphael replied quietly. "I'll be there in the evening." "Why are you whispering?" Victor was surprised. "I'm in the library," Raphael explained and ended the call without waiting for a response. When he returned to Nina, she had already filled out the form. She handed it to him for his signature. Her smile had vanished, replaced by an intense, distant look. "So are we meeting at the restaurant in the evening, or should I pick you up?" Raphael asked. "Oh, that's not necessary," Nina replied. "I'll take a taxi. Write down my number." Raphael nodded and entered the number she dictated into his phone. Then he took the book from the table and said, "I'll send you the restaurant address and the dinner time in a message." Nina nodded reservedly. As Raphael headed for the exit, he felt a strange sensation that something had changed about her. The warmth and friendliness had been replaced by coldness and severity. But why? He shrugged it off, deciding not to dwell on it. He had accomplished his goal of finding a suitable fiancée and could now attend the dinner with Alessandro Raso without worries. If Nina didn't smile at the end, it didn't necessarily mean he had done something wrong. Calming himself with this thought, Raphael decided to forget the last unpleasant feeling and focus on the upcoming matters. After finally having breakfast, Raphael called his personal stylist and scheduled a meeting. He wanted to look his best for the dinner. Closer to noon, he received a message from Nina. She sent him a photo of a beautiful evening dress. It was bright red, and Raphael involuntarily imagined how stunning it would look on her. However, when he saw the price tag, he coughed. The dress cost a fortune. Despite his wealth, Raphael was not one to spend money frivolously. He often bought ordinary things, frequented simple cafes, and felt perfectly content. Growing up poor, he knew the value of money all too well. Of course, sometimes he had to buy expensive items to maintain a respectable image in the business world, and today was one of those occasions. So he transferred the required amount to the account Nina had indicated and later paid for equally expensive shoes and a handbag. This girl decided to prepare thoroughly, he thought, with a mix of amusement and admiration. As the day went on, Raphael couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Yet he decided to focus on the positives. He had a stunning fiancée for the evening, and he was determined to make a strong impression on Alessandro Raso. With this resolve, he prepared for what he hoped would be a successful and memorable dinner. At exactly 7 in the evening, Raphael parked his car at the Magnolia restaurant. He got out and glanced at his reflection in the bright window of a nearby store. He was impeccably dressed in a light suit, a white shirt with a bow tie, and polished leather shoes. Everything fit him perfectly. Raphael adjusted his expensive watch on his wrist and confidently walked to the entrance. Inside, Victor and his girlfriend Isabella were already seated at the table, looking splendid. Isabella wore a green velvet dress with an open neckline, adorned with a pearl necklace. Her reddish-brown hair was styled into an intricate updo, with a few wavy strands framing her face. "Hello, friends," Raphael greeted them. "Hello," Brother Victor replied. "You look great, but why are you alone?" "My fiancée will arrive by taxi any minute," Raphael assured him. "And where are Alessandro and his dear lady?" "They're delayed," Victor said. "There's a small traffic jam at the entrance to the city. Raso wrote that he will be here in 3 minutes." Raphael sat next to Victor, took out his phone and texted Nina. "Are you on your way?" she replied. "Yes, I'll be there in 5 minutes." "Great. I'll be waiting at the table," Raphael responded and put his phone away. Victor said something to Isabella and then turned to Raphael. "Listen, brother, in our business dealings, everything has always been clean, right? We haven't broken the law or anything like that," Victor asked anxiously. "As far as I know, no." "But why are you thinking about this now?" Raphael wondered. Victor nervously tapped his fingers on the table. "I heard that Raso is very particular about such things. He himself is extremely honest and demands the same from his colleagues and partners. If our company has ever been involved in any dubious dealings, he will immediately refuse to cooperate. Raphael thought for a moment, trying to recall anything. No, I've always tried to conduct business as properly as possible, unless there's something I don't know. Victor nodded. Then I think everything will go perfectly. Of course, unless your fiancé decides to ditch you, he laughed. But Raphael was not in the mood for jokes. He was watching a couple slowly approaching their table. He had only seen the man in photographs before, and it was indeed Alessandro Razzo, their potential business partner. Alessandro was a tall, middle-aged man in his 50s. His smooth bald head gleamed under the lights, and his stylish checkered suit fit him perfectly. Razzo carried himself with great confidence. Following him was a tall young woman with blonde hair and big eyes with long lashes. A blue silk sheath dress accentuated her slim figure, and silver jewelry complemented her light gray eyes beautifully. Raphael stared at Razzo's companion, hardly believing what he saw. He knew her all too well. Alessandro's companion was Asira, the same woman who had once broken Raphael's heart at university. Now he understood why Razzo was so jealous of his partner. This woman had always been flighty, and her presence stirred a whirlwind of emotions in Raphael. Just as Raphael was processing this shocking revelation, his phone buzzed again. It was Nina texting. "I'm here," he quickly texted back. "I'll meet you at the entrance," excusing himself from the table. Raphael made his way to the restaurant entrance with a mix of anticipation and unease. He spotted Nina stepping out of a taxi, looking stunning in the bright red evening dress she had shown him earlier. Her dark hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her blue eyes sparkled with confidence. As he approached her, Raphael felt a sense of relief. "You look amazing," he said, offering his arm. "Thank you," Nina replied with a smile, though there was still a hint of that earlier reservedness in her demeanor. Together they walked back to the table where Victor and Isabella were waiting. As they approached, Raphael could feel Asira's eyes on him, curiosity piqued by his presence. He introduced Nina to everyone, and she greeted them with grace and poise, instantly putting everyone at ease. Raphael took a deep breath, preparing himself for the evening ahead. With Nina by his side and his determination to impress Alessandro Razzo unwavering, he felt ready to face whatever challenges the night might bring. As they all settled in for dinner, Raphael knew that this was just the beginning of a night filled with unexpected turns and revelations. When the couple approached the table, the men stood up to greet Alessandro. Asira gave Raphael a languid look and extended her hand for a kiss. He shook it somewhat mockingly, unsure if Asira had recognized him, as she put on an indifferent expression. "In any case, everything between us is long in the past," Raphael thought. "Glad to see you all in this beautiful place," Alessandro Razzo said good-naturedly. "My respects, Victor, Isabella, Raphael." "Oh, Raphael, why are you alone? Where is your fiancé? Victor said you would come to dinner with a lovely blue-eyed angel." Raphael blushed, realizing that seeing Asira had made him so nervous that he completely forgot about Nina. Collecting his thoughts, he was about to explain that his partner would be there any minute when suddenly he heard a soft voice. "The blue-eyed angel has already arrived." Everyone, including Raphael, looked up. Nina was standing at the table. She wore a modest dark blue dress and simple black shoes. Her hair was neatly tied in a bun at the nape of her neck, and she wore long, shiny earrings. Despite the simplicity of her outfit, she looked elegant and composed. However, Raphael had expected a completely different effect. Why didn't she come in the gorgeous red dress I bought, he wondered. Nevertheless, he stood up and put his arm around Nina. She exuded a coldness, but Raphael had no time to think about it. He seated Nina next to him and smiled at everyone present. "This is Nina, my fiancée," he said. Nina smiled with dignity. "Oh, she is indeed lovely." Despite her rather restrained attire, Alessandro commented. "I'm not used to luxury," Nina replied. "Commendable, commendable," Razzo responded. Raphael smiled awkwardly. He didn't understand why Nina was acting this way, but he knew that the only thing he could do was join the game, the rules of which no one had explained to him. Victor was watching him intently, and Raphael noticed that he also didn't understand anything and was therefore worried. Alvarado tried to reassure him with a look, but he wasn't sure if it worked. The waiter approached, and everyone started ordering. Asira ordered shrimp and champagne. Rasso supported her, and Victor and Isabella also placed their orders. "What will you have?" Nina asked Raphael. "I think I'll go with plain rice," the girl replied seriously. "Plain rice?" laughed Alessandro. "Raphael, are you not letting your friend eat properly?" Raphael blushed, feeling embarrassed. "No, I would never." He caught Asira's mocking glance and got completely flustered. "Oh, he has nothing to do with it," Nina said with regal calm. "I just watch my figure and try not to eat much after 6. There was a brief silence, and then Victor attempted to lighten the mood. "So, Alessandro, tell us more about this new project you have in mind." Rasso smiled, clearly pleased to talk business. "Well, we are looking to create something truly unique. A blend of modern architecture with classical elegance, something that will stand out and draw attention globally. We want to collaborate on the design and execution with someone who has a vision and creativity that matches ours." Raphael felt a surge of pride and glanced at Nina, who seemed to be observing everything with a composed detachment. He wondered what was going on in her mind. Was she regretting her decision to help him? Or was there something else at play? As the evening progressed, Raphael found himself increasingly impressed by Nina's poise and ability to engage in meaningful conversation. She handled Rasso's questions with ease, displaying a keen intellect and a sense of grace that seemed to charm everyone at the table, even Asira, who occasionally shot Raphael curious looks. Despite the initial awkwardness, the dinner turned out to be a success. By the end of the meal, Alessandro Rasso was visibly impressed with both Raphael and Nina. "You have a remarkable fiancée, Raphael," he said, raising his glass. "To successful partnerships and new ventures." "To new ventures," Raphael echoed, clinking his glass with Rasso's. He felt a mixture of relief and triumph. The evening had gone far better than he had anticipated. As they left the restaurant, Raphael turned to Nina. "Thank you for everything. You were amazing tonight." Nina smiled faintly. "It was an interesting evening, Raphael. I'm glad I could help." Raphael wanted to ask her why she had chosen the simpler dress, but he decided to let it go. "Can I give you a ride home?" he offered. "No need. I'll take a taxi," Nina replied. "But thank you." As she walked away, Raphael watched her go, feeling a strange mix of admiration and confusion. He had found a remarkable partner for the evening, but he realized there was much more to Nina than he had initially thought. As he got into his car, he couldn't help but think about how different she was from anyone he had ever met. He knew that tonight was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with unexpected challenges and opportunities. Alessandro laughed good-naturedly, as if he had heard a funny joke. "I like this girl," he said. Victor joined Rasso in laughter, and the others began to smile. "She's still a child," Asira said patronizingly, and Raphael felt irritation. Nina said nothing. The waiter brought glasses and light snacks. A business conversation started at the table, which the women listened to but did not participate in. When the men had discussed work matters, Asira turned to Nina. "So when do you and Raphael plan to get married?" she asked. Nina shook her head. "We haven't set a wedding date yet," she said. "Oh, but why not?" "We're not in a hurry," Raphael quickly answered for Nina. "Yes, you've always been quite slow," noted Asira, suddenly winking at Raphael. Alessandro looked at his friend in surprise. "How do you know that?" he asked, looking at Asira suspiciously. "My sister went to university with him," the girl lied. This unsettled Raphael. Asira hasn't changed a bit, he thought, but said nothing out loud. The conversation smoothly shifted to other topics. Now Victor and Isabella were in the spotlight. After some time, the waiter started bringing the ordered dishes. There was a lot of food, and it smelled delicious. A modest plate of rice was placed in front of Nina, and she began to eat it slowly. Alessandro couldn't hide his affection as he watched her. Raphael saw that his friend had won the favor of their potential partner. Could he say the same about himself? Raphael didn't know. Sometimes it seemed that Rosso looked at him with suspicion. The reason was, of course, Asira, who kept giving Raphael ambiguous looks. Nina noticed this too, but chose to remain silent. Finally, the conversation turned to the future joint project. Victor and Raphael took turns telling Rosso about their working methods, their ideas, and the innovations they planned to introduce. "This all sounds wonderful," remarked Alessandro, "and I like both of you. I'm almost ready to sign a contract with you." Raphael and Victor exchanged victorious glances. "However, my reputation is of utmost importance to me. I will never get involved with a company if I find out it has been involved in anything shady. Can you guarantee me that my honor will remain intact and my dignity untainted if I start working with you?" Victor hastily swallowed his food and nodded. "Of course, we guarantee you that." Alessandro turned his gaze to Raphael. "Yes, we have never allowed ourselves to act dishonestly towards anyone," he confirmed. "What little angels," remarked Asira. Alessandro was about to say something, but at that moment, Nina rose from her seat. "What's wrong, dear?" Raphael asked, alarmed. Nina looked at him coldly and hostilely. "Are you sure you told Mr. Rizzo the truth?" she asked harshly. Raphael was confused. "What are you talking about?" he asked. The table fell very quiet. "I'm talking about the fact that you haven't always been honest with everyone you've dealt with," Nina said clearly. Raphael looked at her, not believing what was happening. "Who did I deceive?" he barely managed to say. "My father," the girl replied. "A few years ago, your company decided to implement a new project and found a suitable location in the city center. But there was one small obstacle in your way, a little house where my family lived, and you decided to simply demolish it." A deadly silence hung over the table. Alessandro Rosso stared intently at Raphael. "Is this true, Mr. Alvarado?" he asked sternly. Raphael turned pale, and sweat appeared on his forehead. "I don't know anything about this," he muttered. "That's a lie," exclaimed Nina. "You are the head of the company. You must know everything that happens in it." "But I seriously know nothing. I always personally check the places where construction was planned." "You're lying," Nina shouted. Tears welled up in her eyes, and grabbing her purse, she ran away from the table. Raphael wanted to catch up with her, but Victor managed to hold him by the sleeve. "Wait, brother," he said. Raphael stopped, looking at Victor. "I don't know anything about any demolished house," he repeated, looking his friend in the eye. "But I do," admitted Victor, lowering his gaze. What Raphael couldn't believe his ears. "It happened 4 years ago. We were planning to build a hotel in the center. You took a short leave then because your mother was ill. I handled everything. Yes, there really was one small house. I offered to buy it, but the owner refused, so I bribed the police. And they forced the family to leave the house, giving them 3 days to pack. This man wanted to go to court. But our lawyers convinced him that it was useless to fight a giant company. We transferred a substantial amount to the owner's account to cover the costs of acquiring a new home. And after a while, I completely forgot about this incident." Raphael looked at Victor with wide, horrified eyes. You really did all this? And behind my back? How could you, Victor? I trusted you completely. Without raising his head, Victor replied, Forgive me, Raph. I didn't think it was that serious. Alessandro Razzo began clapping theatrically. Exquisite. What a dramatic scene. Two business partners unmasking themselves saying this, he stood up and helped Asira to her feet. Dear gentlemen, I thank you for a wonderful dinner and ask to be excused. We must take our leave. With these words, Alessandro and his companion left with dignity. No one thought to stop them. Everything was obvious. Well, I'll be damned was all Victor could muster, his voice laden with shock. Isabella sympathetically patted his hand, trying to provide some comfort. Victor, this is absolutely not funny, Raphael said sternly, his voice trembling with anger. I'm not sure I'm ready to continue working with you with that. He stood up abruptly and headed for the exit, leaving Victor and Isabella in stunned silence. As Raphael was getting into his car, he felt an intense gaze on him. Looking up, he saw Asira coyly watching him through the window of a car leaving the parking lot. In response, Raphael just shook his head in disbelief. He took out his phone and sent Nina a heartfelt message, I'm sorry, but I really didn't know about your house. Victor just confessed to his dishonest act. Nina's reply came almost immediately, piercing through his hope. I don't believe you, she responded curtly. Feeling defeated, Raphael drove home, his mind racing with thoughts of the evening's events. He couldn't sleep, tossing and turning, replaying the night's drama. Finally, he resolved to go to the library the next day to talk to Nina. This decision brought him a semblance of calm, and he eventually drifted off to a restless sleep. Raphael woke up very early, his determination unwavering. He brushed his teeth, took a shower, and got dressed with purposeful speed. With plenty of time before the library opened, he decided to take a walk to clear his mind. He strolled down the street, got a coffee, and sipped it anxiously, barely tasting the flavor. Half an hour before the library opened, he was already standing at the entrance, waiting. Finally, he saw Nina approaching, lost in her thoughts. She was wearing a short green skirt, a white polo shirt, and the same army boots. Her hair was down, adorned with a green bow clip. She didn't notice Raphael at first, so he stepped forward to intercept her. Seeing him, Nina was visibly surprised. What do you want? I thought we said everything to each other yesterday, she said, her voice tinged with irritation. Raphael tried to take her hand, but Nina pulled away. I just wanted to apologize again. I'm telling the truth. I knew nothing about your house, he pleaded, his eyes searching hers for any sign of forgiveness. Nina looked at him intently, her silence heavy with contemplation. It doesn't matter anymore, she finally said, attempting to walk past Raphael. But he stepped in front of her, not willing to let her go so easily. Wait a minute. I want to make amends, he insisted. You already did that yesterday. The money you transferred for the dress, shoes, and bag, I gave to my parents, Nina said, her voice steady but cold. Raphael nodded, understanding why Nina had come in her regular clothes. But I don't want you to hold a grudge against me, Raphael exclaimed desperately. He himself didn't know why it was so important to him. The deal with Alessandro Razzo had fallen through, so he no longer needed a fiancée. However, something inside him resisted the thought of letting Nina go forever. I'm not holding a grudge, Nina replied dryly. Then prove it, Raphael challenged with a smile. Let me take you to dinner. Another one, Nina responded skeptically. Raphael finally managed to take her hand. Yes, but this time we'll be alone, and it will be a date, he said firmly and resolutely. Nina's eyebrows shot up in surprise. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. But why would a wealthy businessman invite an ordinary girl on a date? Raphael leaned close to Nina's ear. his voice soft and sincere. Maybe because he simply likes her. Nina smiled at his words, her demeanor softening. "All right, I'll give you another chance," she said, slipping her hand from his and disappearing behind the heavy library door. Raphael watched her go, a sense of hope rekindling within him. Despite the chaos and confusion of the previous night, he felt that this was a new beginning, a chance to mend not just his relationship with Nina but also to rediscover a part of himself that he had long neglected. Raphael went home, changed into more comfortable clothes, and headed to his office. There, he reserved a table at a charming restaurant and arranged for roses to be delivered directly to the library. Just as he was finishing up, a knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," Raphael called out. Victor entered the office, still visibly embarrassed. "Raphael, I'm sorry for what I did behind your back. Now I understand that I cast a shadow over our entire company." "Good that you understand. Otherwise, I thought something was wrong with your brain," Raphael grumbled. "I swear I'll never do that again," Victor said earnestly. "Please forgive me." "I'll think about it," Raphael replied curtly, still simmering with anger. After Victor left, Raphael received a message from an unknown number. "You've become quite something. I'd love to see you," it read. The signature at the bottom was a Sira. She wanted to see him. At any other time, Raphael might have felt triumphant, but remembering Nina's gentle blue eyes, he quickly typed a reply. I think Alessandro wouldn't be pleased after sending the message. He blocked Asira's number and focused on his work. At exactly 6, he closed his laptop and went home to change and get ready. By 7, he was standing at the library door when Nina appeared. He didn't recognize her at first. She wore a long golden dress and high heels, and her hair was beautifully curled and pinned up. When did she have time for that, Raphael wondered. "You look amazing," he said, genuinely impressed. "Thanks for the roses," Nina replied with a smile. She took Raphael by the arm, and they walked to his car. He drove her to a quaint restaurant with books lining the shelves, where they had a wonderful, intimate evening at a cozy table. They talked about various topics, reminisced about childhood, shared their hobbies, and discussed favorite stories. They discovered they had a lot in common. By the end of the evening, Raphael was completely enchanted by Nina, and she finally believed that he had nothing to do with the matter concerning her home. The young couple began seeing each other almost every day, and after some time they realized they couldn't live without each other. They fell deeply in love, and soon Raphael proposed to Nina. A few months later, they got married and went on their honeymoon. Since both loved books, they decided to travel to different countries where famous writers had lived and visit the places they once frequented. The trip was a success and brought the young couple even closer together. They learned almost everything about each other and loved each other with all their virtues and flaws. Thank you for joining us on this journey of unexpected love and redemption. Raphael, a wealthy businessman, hired Nina, a woman of humble means, to play the role of his fiancée. What started as a desperate act to secure a business deal turned into a profound connection that changed both their lives forever. When Nina spoke out against the injustices she faced, it not only revealed hidden truths but also forged a bond based on honesty and genuine affection. As we reflect on their story, we invite you to think about what you've learned. Have you ever judged someone too quickly? Have you ever found strength in vulnerability? Share one thing you've learned from this story and how you plan to bring it into practice in your life. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring stories. Thank you for watching.